This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hello and welcome. Within the Hex, this is Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burger Pits,
Philman Perich.
Hey, Philip. Welcome back once again to Superconnectivity. Well within the Hex. Yes, the Hex, because, hey, Hex powers, man. Remember, that was a thing in the comics that we decided to make part of this. And Darcy coined it, and it works. It works because of the hexagonal shape. So now we know why Hex is for that joke. So we can make that joke happen. To quote, as I'm sure Ryan George will say eventually. Hi, Ryan George. We know what you're going to do before you do it. He does this thing called pitch meetings on YouTube. My son loves them, and I love them too. But anyway, so for those who have not seen Friday's episode of WandaVision.
Episode 5, yes.
Episode 5, only 3 left. Only 3 more chances to meet Bunny Fufu.
Hold on, let me double check. Is it 3 or is it 4?
Is there 9 episodes? I thought there was only 8. I thought they were doing the hard 8 on Disney Plus. You know,
according to my list, it's 9. So.
Oh wow! So 4 more episodes. Wow. Okay. Because I knew at 4 they said it's the mid-season. Got our mid-season trailer, but I guess technically this is the mid-season.
You can't evenly divide 9. So yeah, it's either 4 or 5 is the mid-season. Yeah.
Anyway, and they got to get us excited, and they got us excited today, Philip.
Oh, yes.
You have a theory.
Oh, I got a big theory.
So let us hear Philip's theory, and then we'll talk about why it's wrong.
And no. I am so convinced I will go on record Friday, February 5th, 8:19 p.m. I am willing to give it the old...
Mark my words.
Ooh. Well, let's see what your theory is before I explain why it's wrong.
Agnes is behind this whole thing. She's manipulating Wanda. Because, let's
have our reasons. Remember, if you're relying on comic books, they like to thwart those expectations.
No, I'm using no comic books. I'm using only what I've seen on this show. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know who Agnes is, if it's Agatha or someone else, but it all comes out of when Vision this episode said, oh yeah, Agnes seems to always turn up to push the plot forward, which she does all the way back from episode 1 when she brought the dinner for Vision's boss, who almost choked to death on it. Mm-hmm. Was Agnes testing Wanda to see if her control was complete, to see if she would just let someone die in front of her? I don't know. No, it gets better. It gets better.
Okay, yeah, okay. Look, everyone has a theory.
I know.
I have mine.
Episode 2... I don't know if the talent show was a test or something. I don't know, but look at these neighbors. The neighbors come and go. Agnes, the best friend, is always the constant out of all those townspeople, more than anyone.
Well, she is the next door neighbor.
Yeah,
that is a place of honor in the hierarchy of sitcomia.
And we never see the husband.
We've never seen Ralph, no.
Doesn't Herb live next door, but we don't see him every episode?
Herb does live next door now, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. I don't think he did originally.
No. But see, Agnes is no matter what changes occurred, she's always the next door neighbor.
Yes, she is. She is. I'm not denying that. See, here's the thing, and it's the same thing when people want to say Wanda's in charge. I don't think Wanda's in charge. I don't think Agnes is in charge.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You said don't rely on the comic books. I think the writers are counting on the people who know the comics to say, oh, well, she's flipped out in the comics. That's what happened here. No, I think they're using that as a big red herring.
Yeah. See, my take on it is that Agnes is aware. Agnes is, but here's the thing.
All right. Wait. Let me keep going. All right.
Keep going. Okay, you got more.
Episode.
You got to keep on going, so you can't let me criticize until you're done.
Episode 3. Agnes is hanging out outside the whole time when Monica is getting close to Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
Did she tell her did she have Wanda throw her out? I don't know. Episode 4. What was my point on episode 4? They identified all those townspeople except for Agnes. They do not know who she is.
Yes.
I think they were able to identify everyone else. All right.
I don't think they identified Dottie either, but that's okay.
I don't know. But all right, but we haven't seen much of her since episode 2, have we?
No, we haven't.
No. All right.
Although, what was Dottie's line in that? How does a housewife get blood out of out of linen? She does it herself.
Oh.
I guess I'll have to do it myself.
All right. And then this episode, so spoilers, kids. Agnes, I don't know if it's the whole plot or just part of it, wants those kids, and she wants them aged up, too. Because the first age up in this episode is when Agnes comes over. And then she tries to attempt another age up by, where'd this puppy come from? Oh, look, Agnes showed up right as the puppy shows up with with the little dog house or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then who finds the dog when it supposedly accidentally dies? Agnes, because she wanted to upset those kids, so they aged up again, because Wanda even says to them, don't you age up again.
Okay. I mean, that's fair.
And when they send the drone in, and remember, and, Haywood's like, take the shot. We're to assume Wanda takes out that drone, but all we see is the eyes light up. We never see her physically take out that drone. Who said it was her?
Well, we actually do physically see her take the drone out of the...
Well, we see her dragging it, if that's her. We see her dragging it out, but we don't see her destroying it.
You're putting a lot of ifs on this, Philip. Okay.
I know.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But,
you know what?
All right. And the big one. Once Vision Once Vision starts seeing through the whole thing, we don't see Wanda glowing eyes or glowing hands, but then that mysterious person, well, we know who it is, spoilers, at the door shows up at the end. Wanda says she didn't do it. And when Vision, unlocks that guy's memory at the office,
which is interesting.
The guy says, it hurts. She's in my head. He never says Wanda. He says she.
Okay. But then that could also be Dottie, who does seem to control the town as well for the children.
True.
In fact, so here's where it gets interestingly complex. So let us say, here's the thing about Agnes. Maybe Agnes to me knows what's going on. But also,
and again, yes.
But also,
the beginning of this episode, she's supposed to seem like she's afraid, but I think she's playing along with Wanda's thing to keep her happy. So she, so I don't know whether she's for the kids or whatever.
Well, no, what she actually does in this episode is she does exactly what Monica did last episode, where she stops and says, "Do we want to take it from the top?" And she kind of pulls herself out of it, but she's also because she knows things have just changed, that the dynamic has changed. And she's trying to cooperate with Wanda. And the difference is that Wanda knows Agnes. So my actual thinking is that Agnes is here, but Agnes is also trying to minimize damage. Now, that may be because she knows Wanda's in charge, but I actually think it's because she knows what is going on.
I think she. Oh yeah,
in a way that
Agnes
in a way that Wanda doesn't.
I think Agnes is trying to keep her happy so she can use her for whatever she wants to use her for. That's why I think that's why one of the first things she did is she had her go get the Vision, because she knew if she brought the Vision in to play the husband, that would keep her happy and docile.
No, see, that's where you're mistaken. So here's the thing, because
wait. I know she was sad, but they even said Vision had a living will, where he said he didn't want to, resurrect it or resuscitate it.
Yes.
Wouldn't Wanda have wanted to honor that his final wishes?
I know, and see, this is where you're being mistakenly misled, Phil, because you're falling for the classic Hydra trap, because Hayward is a deep AIM plant, a deep Hydra plant, a deep Ten Rings plant. He's a deep next big villain plant, and he's been there because. Okay,
I you know what? I will even work that into my theory. I will totally say, oh yeah, Hayward could be Hydra, Ten Rings, whatever. Maybe whoever he's working for knows who Agnes is, and they're like, we need to take Wanda out before she uses her for whatever sinister purposes she's.
No, because it's all Hayward's sinister purpose. So here's what actually happened. So at the end of Avengers Infinity War, Vision was given a tasteful, respectful burial in Wakanda by his friends, because I'm sure that the Wakandans said, he is vibranium, he belongs in Wakanda, he is our people. Let us honor his sacrifice, let us bury him and give him full Wakandan honors as a brother of the king. Or, whoever. And that was what was done.
Is that just a guess?
It's the obvious plotline of what would happen in that situation.
And if
you're going to tell me that Tony Stark brought Captain America, all the people that have been fighting S.H.I.E.L.D., and now they're just going to give Vision to Sword?
Or unless they do,
after the Battle of Wakanda?
Or unless they do bury him somewhere and these idiots dug him up or something.
Well, that's exactly what happened. And that is exactly what happened 3 weeks ago. So essentially what happened is Sword, because they wanted the sentient weapon, because as Monica says in episode 4, we're not supposed to be creating sentient weapons. And he says times have changed.
And
so basically, Hayward wanted that tech. So he does this covert thing into Wakanda, steals the Vision's body, takes it to Sword headquarters so they could dismantle him intentionally. And that is what caused Wanda to go nuts, because she went to go visit Vision's grave, and she's using her all crazy powers because remember, she just blipped back. She just blipped back after the big fight. And so within 3 weeks of her blipping back, she has gone to Wakanda and she says Vision has been stolen. And she searches to find out where he has been, finds him at Sword headquarters, and goes nuts when she sees that they have torn her husband apart in violation of his living will, because clearly they are trying to make him a living weapon.
But
everything Hayward is saying is meant to misdirect you and think that he is honoring the Vision's wishes, but clearly if you had him disassembled, you weren't honoring his wishes. His wishes were to be not reassembled and made into a living weapon.
But, alright, now I'm thinking about this. You're right, he is a sentient weapon. He is like a one-of-a-kind thing. You can't just bury him in the ground. Any idiot like Hydra or somebody could try to come dig him up. Do you think Sword or whoever took custody of him just so his remains didn't fall into the wrong hands?
No. So here's the thing. Okay, so this goes into my deep dive about how Hayward is super evil. Probably not Mephisto, because why would Mephisto work a day job? That's just silly.
No. If Mephisto's here,
he might be.
Maybe he's Agatha. Maybe he's Agnes.
Yeah, well, he might be Nicholas Scratch, who is Agatha's son and is evil. and might be just the kind of supervillain character to infiltrate a government agency in order to further his power, in service of Satan. But
magic is possible because they said there's some connection between this show and the next Doctor Strange movie. So,
that is what we get when Pietro shows up at the end. Spoilers. The idea that
which Pietro?
Well, yeah, they Darrened him. Oh my gosh!
I know that. They
replaced Dick York with Dick Sargent. It is, or vice versa. I forget how it goes. But anyway, they brought in, which is funny, and this is actually kind of funny because I was sitting there thinking, wait a minute, Pietro's a teenager in X-Men. And Wanda and Peter and Pietro and Marvel just were already grown when those movies came out. Actually, as it turns out, that actor, he was just one of those babyface actors, so he was actually well into his... He's actually older than Wanda. He's actually 34. So they're going to play the twins thing, but he's actually 34.
So did she pull reverse House of M? Because, before this, in the MCU, as far as we knew, there was no mutants. If she pulled him from the Fox universe, she just brought a mutant in, and who knows? She might have pulled them all. Oh, yeah. She might have pulled them all in. All we've seen so far is him.
Well, this might be. I have been poo-pooing this idea since the start, but I may have to eat my humble pie on this because it does look like they're going to. What's the word I'm looking for? They're going to, except I don't think they're going to do it as much as people think. I think what they're going to do is there's going to be some mutants who come over, but who have always been here. And this is the idea. It's when, and this is what we get into with the idea of known associates not knowing the witness under protection.
I just wonder if they're just gonna drop they're gonna drop the mutants and whoever else in this universe, and that's the theme of the Doctor Strange movie. It's reality can't take it, so he has to rewrite reality. So it's the X-Men were always here.
It's a possibility. It's a possibility, though that might also be their back door into getting a lot of Marvel television stuff in here without having to have all of it be canon. Mm-hmm. And the idea being that, no, so Luke Cage is here, and, Luke Cage is here and Daredevil here, but I don't think we ever did an Inhumans TV show. I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds like crazy nonsense. I don't think that was ever a thing. Why, that didn't even interact with S.H.I.E.L.D. So obviously they couldn't be real.
They already confirmed that Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is going to be in this universe, so...
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we'll no doubt make comments about it.
I was going to say, he'll explain it to us. You see, we were just chilling in that other not-so-good universe, and we go...
Yes. Now we got mouse money. It'll be great.
This giant mouse dragged us over into a much nicer universe.
Yes. It'll be something fun and delightful. I'm sure Ryan Reynolds will not disappoint us. But the thing is so first off, here's my thing. I think whatever happened to Wanda was something that happened because Hayward was trying to get the Vision back from Wanda. Again, this might be one of these things. Like I said, it is possible that, because we still don't know who the witness was. It's possible it was Horton. It's possible it was the original artificial man. It's possible that it was just, this is where they set off the reality bomb to try and take out Wanda. And she had to essentially, and the idea is then that, so they have these sentient weapons, and they have these various bombs and magic items that they've collected over the years in S.W.O.R.D. that they have been stockpiling and researching as a way to essentially defeat Omega-level threats. Because as the sentient weapon observation and response team, their entire purpose is to deal with Wanda's. But of course, you can't just deal with a Wanda. In fact, the most logical way to deal with a Wanda is just to let her be and not make her mad by stealing and disassembling her boyfriend.
You know what? I saw a theory online. What you're just saying might play into this. Who was a munitions maker just like Tony Stark before he became something else in the Marvel universe?
Do you mean Justin Hammer, or do you mean Gillian? What's his name?
No.
Kieran Gillian? Or...
No, Simon Williams.
Oh, Simon Williams. Possibly.
Maybe he was working for Sword making these weapons he wasn't supposed to be making.
Someone pointed out that it actually is a Stark missile. That there is a scene where you see a Stark missile in Sword's something or other.
And who knows how he's connected? Remember, Mysterio, Quentin Beck was working for Stark. Maybe Simon Williams at some point worked for Stark.
Yeah, well, and one of the things that's coming up in Armor Wars is the fact that Stark...
That tech's out in the world.
Yeah, it tech's out in the world. Now, one of the interesting aspects of this is, remember, Stark was missing for 5 years.
No, he wasn't.
He didn't get... Yes, he was. He went missing when he went up in the spacecraft with Nebula. Well, not with Nebula, but with Doctor Strange. Nuh-uh. Everyone got blipped.
Nuh-uh. Yeah. He wasn't missing for 5 years. Remember, Captain Marvel brought him back, and then when, he came back and everyone explained to him, yeah, everyone just got snapped. So they went, remember, they went and confronted Thanos. That was before the 5 years.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. My mistake there. I thought he actually came back at the end of the 5 years. No, you're right. Okay. My mistake. So, but anyway, the idea is that for whatever has been happening, he hasn't been taking care of his company. In fact, we know that Pepper's been running the company. And Pepper is probably going to be the first one to say, we sold bombs for years. I was fine with it when I worked. When I was the secretary, I'm fine with it now. Sell some bombs. Let's get some money back on the plate.
Or who said he's still in charge? I mean, who said she's still in charge? I mean, once he dies, maybe she retires and hands it to the board or whatever.
Oh yeah. But that would have been less than 3 weeks. That's the thing.
Oh.
So that's the thing. That the timeline of this is this, and they make it explicit that this is 3 weeks after the blip. And that's an interesting point because it goes back to that Hayward is evil theory.
Wait, no.
This
is after everyone comes back. Wait.
Yes. No, it's 3 weeks after everyone comes back.
Okay, yeah.
So essentially what happened, so this is 3 weeks post-blip, which means Wanda's only been back for 3 weeks. Mm. So here is the grand timeline. 5 years ago, Maria Rambeau, the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., gets a mysterious deadly cancer. She gets it removed. She gets better. Which means that Hayward doesn't get to take over. Meaning that when the blip happens, when everything occurs, Maria Rambeau is actually still in charge and is probably holding back the more violent tendencies of Hayward, and perhaps says, no, they buried the Vision is done. He's not our problem anymore. He's no longer a sentient weapon. We don't need to deal with him. And that's good. He's dead, he's buried. It's a tragedy, but now we're not going to worry about him because he's under Wakandan custody. And I'm not going to worry about that bit of technology any more than I'm going to worry about every other bit of Wakandan technology that exists in the universe. So that's that. Then, mysteriously, her cancer comes back, and this time it kills her. Now, granted, you can say, well, that does happen with cancers, and this is true. But it does seem interesting that this guy who was primed to take the role before the blip is still primed to take that role right after Maria dies, which makes me think that he is part of this conspiracy to get control of S.W.O.R.D. and the technology and to use that for evil purposes. And that's why I think, because he doesn't say since the blip, Vision's body has been in our custody. He says, this has been top secret, but a few weeks ago, Wanda broke into S.W.O.R.D. headquarters, which is where Vision's body was being stored. He doesn't say how long it's been stored there, but apparently only as long as it takes to disassemble him, in my opinion. And I think that when she stole all those parts and she left, and she was trying to figure out, how do I get these back together? Something happened, and it might have been someone attacking her, and possibly even someone trying to take her out, and the only way to save everyone in that area, because they probably used some kind of, sort of like when they wanted to drop a nuclear bomb on New York City in Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
Probably wanted to do the same thing to Westview, and she's like, the only way I can protect these people is just to reach with my maximum power and hold this place together. And whoever the witness was, I do think that will be important. Because I think this goes to what you call magical coincidence, where, as luck would have it, oh yeah, the Molecule Man happened to be the witness. Or, some other character that when it actually gets revealed who the witness was, we're going to go, oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes a bit more sense.
The witness is the answer to everything, just because, they mentioned that in, last episode, then they completely dropped it. You never hear about that again.
You never hear about it, and that is telling. But again, I also think it's telling that, here's what I'm going to say, I actually think that is Wu holding back information because he knows not to trust Hayward.
Exactly.
And we see Hayward presenting the story in his own light in this episode. And we see Hayward trying to manipulate facts and to gaslight people into saying, well, you said this, so that's what you said, right? So that means that's how we should approach it. And even though they say, but that's not how we should approach it, he is clearly trying to kill Wanda because Wanda knows too much. Wanda knows what he's been doing, and he's afraid of being revealed. Now, as to who's in control, maybe it's Wanda, maybe it's Agnes, but most likely it is actually something else entirely. That something else is gaining advantage from this. And again, it goes back to the idea of the children. That the children are important kind of speaks to something that was... So here's an interesting theory. What if one of the things they were trying to do was actually recreate Infinity Stones?
Well, that was another thing I was thinking of too, because Hex, the whole thing with the Hex and Hex powers. Mm-hmm. How many sides in a hexagon, Charlie Esser?
6. Exactly.
How many Infinity Stones were there? 6.
There are 6 currently.
So, you know what? Maybe Agnes and whoever else wants her to have those kids, because maybe Wanda's infected with the Infinity Stones, but maybe if she creates life, there'll be a more pure source of Infinity Stone.
It's also, that's a possibility. I'm actually still not down on the idea that there is a Mephisto link to it, that they're wanting, that someone, that basically there could be many levels of people. There could be a confluence of villains, But what is interesting in this is the idea that when we do get the other Pietro showing up, which tells me, and this is what that tells me, is that they couldn't bring Pietro back because Pietro is gone.
Yeah.
But they could maybe reach out across space and time and relative dimensions and bring in another Pietro. And essentially, which is this idea that, this is the thing with when we get to the Loki series. Because again, I do think there's going to be a lot more connections between all these series. Loki is traveling across time and space and is a Loki from another dimension. But he is going to wind up in our 616 dimension because that's the whole idea, is that we don't want all these alternate universes cropping up because they're actually bad for everything. And we could tolerate an X-Men universe because it was its own timeline. But now everything's colliding in. One of the things I really want, the thing that actually jumped out to me the most in this is when Monica says, I have an aerospace engineer friend who can help us with this. Because they're talking about all the things they need to build and we do see them eventually driving a car into the Hex, which I think is the car that they're going to build. And I think we're going to see who our aerospace engineer friend is. Now my immediate thought is, it's going to be, Reed Richards or Ben Grimm. But actually, now that I think about it more deeply, it's probably going to be what's his name. Who does Billy like? Who's his boyfriend?
Oh, Hulkling?
Terry, is it? Yeah, Hulkling. Don't remember his actual name. I think that's who her friend is going to be, is a Skrull hybrid that she grew up with. Who actually turned out to be a Kree-Skrull hybrid and, is actually kind of awesome in his own way, and that's going to be who designs it and drives it in. And we're going to get that he is Hulkling in that. Because he is cast in this. That has been said. That is one of the early rumors that we are going to get Hulkling in this. So
Teddy.
That might be who it is. What?
Teddy.
Teddy. That's right. Billy and Teddy sitting in a tree. Kissing.
But by the end of this, they're gonna age up those kids enough so we can get our young Avengers. Because
Because why wouldn't you?
They're already aging up. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I think. So I don't think Agnes was trying to get them to age up. I actually think that the cat died or the dog died because the dog died. I don't think there was anything nefarious about the death of the dog. Because I don't think that Wanda created the dog. I think the dog is yes, the dog is possibly a manipulative stunt.
Whether she found it or created it, I think Agnes is behind it. And again, is that another red herring naming that character Agnes? Everyone's like, oh, it's Agatha Harkness, but maybe it's not.
That is a possibility, too, that Agnes is someone else. All we know for sure is that Agnes knows what's going on. And, maybe Agnes was the witness. And maybe, oh man, who knows? Maybe Agnes is Moonstone.
Psychologist, yes.
Someone manipulating everything. Someone who walked her through her troubles. That would be really interesting if Agnes is Moonstone. That would, if she's actually, what is Soffin's first name? Now
Carla.
I think about it. What, Marla? Okay. Then that's not it.
Carla.
No, it doesn't fit into Agnes, but nothing else fits into Agnes either. Here's one thing that was very interesting is that, and this is sort of where sometimes we will get ourselves out of our own headspace, is everyone is going over the fact that Norm's profile picture references the fact that the Vision pulls him out of the simulation for a moment. But that scene was obviously in this episode. So that essentially that scene that we thought was before this, because essentially I'm sure they said, who's going to pause and zoom in and read the handwriting on these pictures?
Well, I was reading it.
That was this idea, and it's like, okay, yeah, the nerds will. And they probably knew the nerds will, and they said, you know what, but that's fine, because no one cares what the nerds think.
I was reading some article today. They said, I didn't even notice it. They said, when they do the summaries at the beginning of each episode to say, like previously on, they said they're dropping stuff in there that's like changed, like a line here or something, or so like stuff that like maybe didn't actually happen in the previous episodes. They're like, yeah, like reality's getting twisted.
Well, who knows? It is possible because nothing really is what we actually think it is. And that is what WandaVision's about, I think, is that it's about us being manipulated to think things are different than they really are. I don't know. I think that Hayward being the villain is central to this. I'm actually even gotten to the point where I'm less worried about who the mystery witness is and more about what is going to come next. Now, I actually think like I said, one of the things that struck me as the most weirdest thing that Marvel decided to do was to remove the Hail to the King short from, I think it's Iron Man 3, or maybe in Thor the Dark World.
I think it might have been Thor, yeah.
Yeah, that Hail to the King short is no longer available. That's the one short that's not. And that was the one that explicitly calls out the 10 rings and establishes this idea of there being this 10 rings big bad. Now, why they removed that? Although the fact of the matter is that they have that there, and then we know Shang-Chi is coming. And we know that that's going to be about the 10 rings. So I actually think the 10 rings is going to be the next big bad. as sort of a secondary Hydra concept. That maybe even Hydra itself was an offshoot of the Ten Rings.
Or unless Hayward is going to work in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, because back in World War II, in the Captain America stories, there was a General Hayward.
Maybe. I mean, that is always. I mean, that's the guy. Maybe blue blood, and that's the thing. He is, and this is what I always say about him. He is obviously evil because he's nice, and people who are in charge who are nice in the Marvel Universe are always evil. Because people that have power usually really regret having the power. Because as we know, if you're a good person, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yep.
To the point where every part of you says, I don't want to be doing this, but I know I have to do it. And that you are reluctant in wearing that crown. That is why Fury shows Cap the Insight program, expressly because he knows this isn't right, and the only way that he can fight it is he knows he needs to get someone who he knows will be mad about it to see it, to react to it, and that's the thing. That is what is the structure of it. So. I mean, that's all we know. It's all theory. But with the introduction of the other Pietro and where we go from there next, and as I said, maybe dear old dad's going to show up at some point.
Maybe.
It's like, Wanda! What's Ian McClellan doing right now? Someone find Ian McClellan. He may have a job right now. Because they always have the in-laws visit episode. So, and if you think about it, if they're doing a Modern Family take, the Al Bundy character, who is the patriarch, becomes central to the story, the father of the wife. So, if they were going to do that, having Magneto show up with Ian McClellan would be a great way to tell that tale. But anyway, moving right along. Within that, there is this idea of things coming in from other universes. We know that we might be getting Daredevil in the Spider-Man movie, which is also supposed to have other versions. They're going to have they're going to have Jamie Foxx Electro, but not be bad, and because Jamie Foxx is a good actor, remember, they just you can only do so much when they write a really bad script and say, hey, you remember where you were really funny playing idiots on Living Color? Do that for this. It's like, really? Is that who Electro is? Like, no, but it's funny when you do that. So do that thing that's funny. And they're like, okay, it's a Marvel movie, I guess. And then we're also going to get... Oh, my God.
On In Living Color, didn't he play a character named Wanda?
What's that?
Was that woman character? Was that Wanda?
I don't know what her character's name was, but I know who you mean. It was one of the manly women. It's an unfortunate sketch now. It leans a little too much into guy in a dress territory.
Yes.
Even more than Jim Carrey's female bodybuilder character. But they, for what it's worth, those characters had legs, so you got to give them that, because they had legs based on the strength of the characters. But no, but man, why am I blanking his name? Oh, Molina. Alfred Molina is coming back as Dr. Octopus, because of course he was probably the best comic book villain I've ever seen translated. Oh yeah, Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus was perfect. So
he can act. He looked the part. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and so bringing him into and I just hope they give him a white suit, because it's a few years later, he'd be a white suit Dr. Octopus now, and I want that. Please. I want my Alfred Molina in his white suit, and we want white suit Otto. But anyway, getting back to the story, in that it is also now rumored that Chloe Bennett. And this is rumors from weird secondhand websites that you should never be experiencing.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know if I believe that, just because the one site, it was, I don't know.
Yeah, but whatever. I'm not gonna. But I like the idea, and the fact of the matter is, I think it would be foolish of Marvel to turn their back on what works. So Phil Coulson, Chloe Bennet, Quake, all of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't think any of them are worth abandoning. Fitz and Simmons should come back. Heck, for all we know that the aerospace engineer she knows is Fitz or Simmons, That is an entire real possibility. So I think it's foolish of Marvel to shut their door on things just because they were from the before times. And that's the thing. And it doesn't look like they want to. And I think that's what Pietro is telling us here is like, you know what? We know that there are things you guys liked. And the things you liked that we liked too, we're going to stick around. Because, let's face it, the thing about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is they expected to kill that like 4 times. And it just got better. And the fact of the matter is people just kept on coming back to it. And I think Marvel is going to respect that. I think the same thing with stuff like, Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, who is supposed to be coming back in the new She-Hulk series. All these characters are going to come back, and I think this is where we're going to open the door. And it doesn't mean that necessarily says they were never part of it, but it's going to give them their sliding time. It's going to let them say, a lot of things just changed. That after this, maybe they had a device that was supposed to recreate the snap, but like on a smaller scale. Like that's where they were studying Vision, because they said, well, he was part of the Mind Stone. We can take those residual energies, extrapolate out what he was, create essentially a snap ray that could blip things out of existence. But they couldn't control it, and when they tried to blip Wanda again, she pulled it all back in, created her own hex, and kept all the people alive by creating an unconscious world for them to live in.
All right, I don't mind discussing this, but I don't want to take all the thunder from you and Maz too. So,
yeah, well, just say it all again to Maz, Okay. Because I'll forget half of this stuff later. Hey, you want to talk comic books?
Yeah, you know what? It'll even circle around to another topic. Do you want to talk Immortal Hulk?
Yeah, I was going to talk Immortal Hulk. That's a good one.
But yeah, I mean, there's also
Immortal Hulk
there too. Yeah.
Yeah. Avengers kind of bugged me. I liked this for the most part. We do have. This was the controversial episode because an artist who is it the artist and the writer, or is it the same guy who does the art and the writing, or is it 2 different people?
What, the Hulk? No, it's just the artist, Joe Bennett or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and Joe Bennett has done untoward things in the past that have put him on the watch list. And this episode, he did an art that got some people upset. Where he forgot the L in jewelry, which made it say
jewelry.
Oh, he actually jewelry. Yes,
yeah.
Jewelry with jewelry
because it's like a. A jewelry store, in New York. And
jewelry used to be unacceptable. Jewelry is one of those words where, like Negro, where it used to be acceptable. It's like, oh, the jewelry, and it was like, yeah, we're the, we are the Jews, we're the jewelry, and that was a term that was used, and then, Nazis happened and things went bad.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just by coincidence the misspelling, and then the Star of David is right.
Yeah, and the Star of David is there, and there's nothing else about this. Now, I will say this. Now, I don't know. Is this taking place in New York City?
I think so. Because
I
think he's still there from after his fight with Ben Grimm. So, yeah, I think he's still in New York.
Yeah. So, in the Diamond District, I mean, here's the thing. In the Diamond District, that's what Uncut Gems is about. There are a lot of Jews in the diamond trade, in the jewelry trade.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you since you're nearby. It's like, do they have the Star of David on the window when they...
I mean, I don't know if I can't say that I've ever seen it, but I can also say that it's sort of one of these things like among the Hasidim, there is this real strong, Judaic pride where you could totally see someone putting a Star of David on their shop, almost as a taunt to say, yeah, come and get me. You know, both as a marketing employee, hey, we know that you want a Jewish jeweler. Guess what? Come on down to David's. You know, that's the idea. And so I could see it happening. I can't say I've seen it in the wild, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean it couldn't exist. So I'm not going to say in and of itself it's problematic. It's problem because, again, like you said, you go to something like Uncut Gems. I do think that there is this idea of, you know, the Jewish identity of certain kinds of jewelers that, you know, is both fanciful and interesting, but it becomes more complex when the person who you're talking about has a history of being untoward about things. In fact, one could argue that the pawn shop broker who's dealing in the stolen merch is kind of coded Jewish as well. So there's certain things about this that could make you very uncomfortable when you're reading it, where it basically just makes you question, well, like, what is the artist trying to say? Is the artist trying to add a layer to this? Is this their own prejudices about these kinds of people and characters that they're inserting into here? You know,
I mean, now his statement's like, oh, you know, it was an honest mistake. I had to spell backwards, so I missed a letter, and you know,
and to be fair, I can see that it's an honest mistake because it is, for what it's worth, it's really poorly drawn. I'm going to say that I'm going to say this guy isn't a letterer. His art is fine, but he's not a letterer, and clearly, because you can even see, like, because he like misspelled Cronenberg as Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a silly mistake when you think about it, especially because it's the kind of thing that you could probably relatively easily fix in pencils. And yeah, it's a little, it's enough to make you uncomfortable when you think about who said it, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things like when people say, you know, Donald Trump didn't, what did he say? He said, well, Donald Trump did say
a lot of
awful things. But yeah, but every you know, someone's going to take one thing that's about, well, that's just this. It's like, well, yeah, that's just this. If I say it, it's not that when that guy says it, you know. So that's weird. You know, it's unfortunate when something like that comes into a story and takes you out of it.
Yeah, because
you know?
because I didn't notice it at first because I was liking this issue because it was a big, you know, Joe Fixit centric issue. I liked it. You know, I liked it, the cunning, and you know, he's like, you know, he grew the stash, grew the hair out. So he's like, no one Banner has one of those faces, you know, people don't, you know, recognize it, you know.
Yeah. Just looks like Bill Bixby, you know.
And then you know, he hits on the woman behind the counter, and he's like, you know, she thinks, oh, it's that skeezy guy. He can't be the Hulk guy. When the cops come, that wasn't the Hulk guy.
Yeah. I love the return of the UFOs.
Yes.
I'm a little weirded out that they are so inconsistent with the UFOs and whether or not they can retain human form. Because Vapor, sometimes she can't, sometimes she can. And it's weird when they do that with it. And it's the only one they really do it a lot with. But we also know that, you know, that was one of the things. It's like, you know, they actually, like, cured them with, like, the spin technology years back. And I always actually wanted something kind of cool with Ironclad where he was like, dude, I'm just an aerospace engineer. I don't really want to be a giant monster.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool being a giant monster. Maybe if I could be a giant monster and then not be a giant monster, that would be cool. But generally speaking, you know, I just build rocket ships and fly them. You know, I may be an unsavory guy, but I've never actually, like, murdered someone until I became a monster. And then, you know, I became a monster. But the idea is, so that's a weird inconsistency with them. But I love Ironclad. He's such a great character and such a great monster. And we get Rick Jones back because there was something with Rick Jones, and Rick Jones did break out of, or is that leader stuck in Rick Jones? I'm forgetting now.
Or was that supposed to be Samson's body?
Well, no. Well, is that Sam's? No, I think that's Rick Jones's body. Because
I know they went looking for. I know they went looking for Samson's body, but yeah, I couldn't tell if that was his body or not.
Yeah. Oh, actually, because it's the skeleton who's saying "I'm free," but I thought it was the skeleton with his skin peeled off. So I don't know. So I think that's supposed to be whatever body the leader could fall into. Because I think as we recall in the last episode, it was that the devil really never wanted the leader. Yeah. It wanted the Hulk. It was just using the leader to get to the Hulk. And we have this thing with the cops chasing down the kid in the Hulk Smash jersey, which, why that is, we're not quite clear, but it's all supposed to be bad cops. We get our skinny Hulk, smashing the cop car. I do not like the way they're drawing Skinny Hulk. I mean, I get what they're trying to do.
Well, yeah, Joe said their gamma level's been down since Banner and Normal Hulk got pulled out. Yeah,
yeah, and then of course, we have the UFOs. Just basically, I mean, and really, it's even just that. Clearly, what they do is they just show that Vector just pops several chunks out of him. But I think that this is going to be a thing because I think X-Ray is going to, with his cosmic rays, is actually going to empower the Hulk. So I think that's what's going to happen, and we're going to get maybe like a cosmic ray powered Joe Fixit. Maybe he'll get bigger and grayer again, or something like that. We'll see. I like the issue though, aside from the controversy. Once you get away from that controversy, it is the kind of thing where, like, you know what? Maybe people aren't wrong on this. Maybe this guy really is kind of a jerk about it.
I mean, if nothing else, just let the people keep going and replace the artist.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing. It's as I saw on the Marvel Method episode, or the 616 episode, that very few writers actually work with the Marvel Method anymore because they felt it was putting too much work on the writers. So really, a lot of the writers actually do traditional. Here's what happens on the page. Here's what happens each. Here's what we're doing, and then let's take it from there. I want to talk Avengers 42.
All right.
I'm going with the ones I know we both read. We have Namor fighting Echo. He's talking about the last time he cried when he killed the shark. But now no one will make Namor cry. And he does come off as really an awful person. And then you have essentially Cap and Shang. And then we cut to the Cap Shang-Chi fight, which is essentially Cap wants to essentially that Cap is, and everyone agrees that the one person that is the most adept to handle this is Shang-Chi, but obviously. Phoenix doesn't want someone who's going to handle. Phoenix is kind of a bad person in this, which I think should be obvious. Wants someone that's going to want to burn worlds. There's an interesting thing here about Wolverine. As much as he knows that the Phoenix is dangerous, also is very protective of it because, no, this is a mutant thing. Don't tell me one of you humans or gods is going to take the Phoenix Force away from us. This is our thing,
And is it
don't culturally appropriate our Phoenix.
And is it maybe manipulating him also?
I mean, possibly, because we see that he's the one person who feels like I'm the one that should be the Phoenix because I'm the one that can handle it. The one thing I really don't like about this, and we get like a bunch of fights, but we don't see how they resolve, because we see that She-Hulk fights Valkyrie, Jane Foster. We see Red Widow fighting Black Knight. We see American Eagle fighting Zebu and what's her name? Shauna the She-Devil. And I love the fact that they basically said that Nighthawk and Black Panther fought to a standstill for hours. And then basically,
Phoenix just chose somebody.
Said, heck with it. You guys are boring me. You're talking about stock options. It's boring.
Well, I mean, did you see how we're getting the? I believe I read. You know, where we're getting the new Heroes Reborn. You know how that happens.
How does that happen?
Phoenix.
That's an interesting idea.
So I wonder if the Avengers try to turn the tables on it and says, "Oh yeah, well guess what, smart guys, I'm going to erase you from history."
But is that a power that the Phoenix has?
I've only known it to destroy planets. I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing.
But,
I think to me, I gotta feel that Heroes Reborn is about Mephisto.
I was going to say his image is also on the thing. So, what if we get a Phoenix Mephisto team up?
See, that I could buy. That Mephisto's like, oh, Phoenix. All these people, they just want to. But I live in fire too.
I love you, baby.
We can be buddy buddies. I love you, baby. And also it goes back into this idea of the Franklin Mephisto like animosity. You know, that basically Mephisto is always living with the fact that Franklin basically decimated him once, and the fact that really that's the thing with Franklin, the fact that he is actually a being that makes arguably what do you call it, you know, esoteric concept characters tremble, because he's like he is actually bigger and better than any of us, and we're worried about it. He's like, what if a Beyonder was a human? And maybe we're going to find out that he actually is the Beyonder eventually. That, you know, is such a BA. Yeah, but here's what I don't like. Where, the Phoenix is Thor's father, or Thor's mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Thor is Gaia's child. And is the child of an elder god, not some freaking late-to-the-show cosmic deity.
You think maybe...
Gaia is one of the three primal entities.
You think maybe...
Life, death, and magic.
You think maybe the Phoenix is just trying to mess with Thor, though? Because it's like, you know how your father gets around. Who are you to say I'm not your mother?
But he knows who his mom is. He knows Gaia is his mom. That's the thing. And now, maybe it's like, well, at that time I was on Earth, and maybe I'm born of Earth, and I was a part of your mother that was split off, and I'm actually the part of the power of life, and I am the part of life that is death. You know, I am death and rebirth, and Gaia is the force of life. So I guess that there was actually like a throuple. It was Gaia, Odin, and Phoenix, and they all got busy that night. Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna go there. I don't know if you should go there.
No.
Do you have a book that you read that I didn't read?
I mean, I had a pretty light week. Let me see. I even forgot to bring my books out. I mean, the new Venom was out. That was pretty good, and Gwenom vs. Carnage #2 was out. That was good, although it was mostly a slugfest, but...
Yeah. I mean, yeah...
you should... I know you don't have a lot of interest in King in Black, but you know who kind of showed up with Eddie Brock in Venom 33 this week?
Who?
Well, his codex is still in the Hive, whatever. Flash Thompson kind of made an appearance.
Well, see, I didn't even know that. That's good. I got very mad at King in Black because the Valkyrie issue of King in Black said, fighting for the soul of the Sentry. The Sentry's not even in it. And maybe if I read deep, it was like, actually, see, that's the I don't know. Give me something to let me know as I'm flipping through it that the Sentry's in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you're going to say you're fighting for the soul of the Sentry, make that explicit somewhere. You know, it's a comic book. I am going to read it, but I don't want to read a lot of tiny text to figure out, that's technically the Sentry there. So I was very mad about that. So I'm very mad at King in Black right now. I got The Legend of Shang-Chi. That's the new Shang-Chi series. This one, I mean, again, it's mostly just a great punch 'em up. If you like Kung Fu books, I mean, this is one for you. It's Shang-Chi versus Lady Deathstrike. And for those of you who remember her. And it's pretty cool because he basically beats her up, as you do. But the idea is there's like a special magic sword that steals your soul, as if we don't have so many of those in the Marvel Universe. It's like, what, another one of those? Okay, well, I guess people like those. But this one doesn't actually kill you. It just, like, takes your soul and holds it and puts you in a coma. Because in the end, he actually just sort of he gets the sword back and he smashes it into a million pieces and all the souls come out. But then we see that Lady Deathstrike at the very end has a shard of the sword and is going to go steal some more souls. So, cool, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it was fun. It's good art. Good kung fu. I mean, but it's a basic punch 'em up story. I don't know if I'm going to keep on reading The Legend of Shang-Chi, because the last one was so good and esoteric, and this one seemed kind of just more general punch 'em up. And so it's like, I don't read my Kung Fu Master books for the punching. I actually read it for the not punching. I look for the sound of one fist not punching.
For the article.
And then also Star Wars High Republic. It continues to be good. There's a nice bit with our newly minted Jedi's master maybe giving in a bit too much to his anger and where that's going to lead. And yeah, it was pretty cool. I think there's a Sarlacc pit on this wheat planet they go to at the end, because I think it just ate one of their Jedi. But we'll have to see what happens with it. Also, weirdly enough, in books I didn't get to finally finish this week, I got, and I probably better that I save it for next week when I can talk about it with Lilith, is I did get Southside Serpents Archie. And, I would say I didn't get any indie books this week because, Archie isn't indie. But I realized that the other book for Star Wars, The High Republic, is technically branded IDW Disney. Which, again, the fact that they put the Disney logo on it tells me, is that still an indie if it's Disney? But it's IDW. So I'm a little, but it's clearly in the same universe, and it's Adventures of Yoda and a bunch of Padawans on the Starhopper, and I get the feeling this is how they're going to correct my old teacher Yoda conundrum, because I think we're going to get that, this is young Obi-Wan, a young Padawan Obi-Wan getting his first training on the Starhopper with Master Yoda. And so that's what I'm looking forward to, but we'll see what happens there. They haven't done that yet, but we'll see. What, Tristan? I mean, maybe if he had a bunch, because it looks like Yoda has a bunch of Padawans with him. So it looks like he's teaching a bunch of Padawans as he's, in his Starhopper, traversing the universe looking for frogs to eat. And he's got a bunch of Padawans with him. He's got one lead Padawan who's very nervous about everything that's been put on her shoulders. But anyway, it's a good book so far, and I'll finish reading it later, and we'll see how that goes. Anyway, Philip, I know we had some technical issues earlier. I don't think it was anything with my headphones, but, just to be sure, I should probably go down to tweakedaudio.com and get proper headphones to listen to these podcasts with, so that I know I get that crystal clear audio every time. And I can use the coupon code Southgate upon checkout to make sure I get a good discount on the entire process. So that'd be fun. Meanwhile, of course, I can use that same coupon code Southgate at checkout over at huntakiller.com and get a discount on that great escape room delivered to your house, essentially a mystery in a box shipped to your house, where you help Michelle Grace solve a cold case. And that'd be fun. But of course, if I don't want any of that, I can always just go down to our show notes, click on that Amazon link, and go to Amazon.com, where I can buy anything I dang well please, and it costs me nothing, and it helps us all out, because that's cool with cookies. And while I'm there, I should probably pick up Pod Life the book. A good gift for the one you love for Valentine's Day. Pod Life the book, a book about podcasting by podcasters. What more could you want? Available in both digital download and hard copy paperback. And if people do that kind of thing, Philip, how can they talk to you about it?
You can get a hold of me and anyone else on the team. You can always email capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And you can find links to all of our social media and our YouTube channel, the Patreon, merchandise at Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics.
And, of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our Maz and Paz once did, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet Batwoman, Batwoman, Sundays at 8. And, of course, the last season of DuckTales, woohoo, when it comes back, Mondays at 7, when I remember. At Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEesser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle. For what?
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for once again listening to us here on Super Connectivity. Please come back again next week and super connect with us again. Good night.
Good night.
Hey, and make sure you tune into Enough Said and hear me and Maz talk about this episode of WandaVision, because we'll do way better.
Or if you missed
well,
out.
because I'll have more time to digest what happened.
Yes.
That's the thing. This is like one day of digestion.
Yes.
You get me 4 or 5 days in after I've watched this 6 more times. I'm going to know a lot more. And I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, how could we have been so foolish to think that? I actually did burp at the beginning of one of these episodes.
And push your head.
But